Yeah. What's up, guys? Happy Monday. The song sounds so, like, sad. Alright. What's up, Chester? What up, Ho-Jan? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Pretty easy slate tonight. Shouldn't take long to break down. There's a game that like nobody wants to acknowledge. The 640 Rockies Marlins. I guess I could put it in the bottom of the spreadsheet if anybody actually cares about it. But it didn't catch like a main slate, so it's just like a single slate. Oh, my camera's off center. I'm not sure. So we could put it in the bottom of the spreadsheet, sure. Why not? No slate. You psychos. Sunday was rough. My God, bro. That, if you were to, like, it's the most baseball. If you were to look at that series, knowing what we know about Yankees and Dodgers pitchers, you'd be like, all right, Yankees are going to give you Max Fried, potential Cy Young, Will Warren, who's like the stuff plus kid right now. And then we're going to go bullpen game with Ryan Yarbrough. And then you know, Dodgers going to go Gonsolin, whatever. And then against Yarbrough, they're going to go Yamamoto. Tell me who you're guessing winning before all that happens. It was a weird series. I didn't really care about the result. The one thing I did care about, it happened yesterday, was they put Tim Hill in there. He he faced Freddie Freeman and struck him out. If you guys might remember game 1 of the World Series, where Tim Hill was available to face Freddie Freeman, but instead they went to Nestor Cortez. If you don't remember how that turned out, it didn't go great. And everybody was like, why didn't they go Timmy Hill? Why didn't they go Timmy Hill? So it's like that, out of the entire weekend, that one moment in time yesterday, that's what stung the most. That's what stung the most. What up, throwbacks? Hope you're doing all right. It's gonna be a laid-back Cadillac Jack stream. All right, Marlins are throwing Max Meyer up against Herman Marquez. And Rockies have a 3.4 run total. Marlins 4.8. Obviously, everything about this, we're leaning Marlins here. Max Meyer is the more interesting case here. We have seen some pretty spike games out of him this season. A 24.2% K rate overall, and he's facing a team that's one of the most attackable. Somehow their ISOs are getting a little green here. And yesterday we saw Orlando Arcia hit a bomb. But if you're just chasing strikeouts, Max Meyer against a team with an average negative WRC plus against righties and an aggregate 25% K rate, that's probably the guy you want. As far as chasing power, Meyer certainly has allowed power both this season and into last season, but does have a heavier ground ball rate. So the likeliest outcome is Meyer does just fine, and you're looking for the Marlins pushing a 5-run total to get to Herman Marquez. So luckily for us, this game is only a showdown slate for DFS. So if you're betting this game, you're probably just looking at Meyer strikeouts. And that's how you do that. What up, Andy? You'll be back in Colorado in the fall. Where are you at now? All right, now we can get into the 6-game main slate, which on the surface, if you kind of sweated yesterday's slate live, it was a pretty boring, low-action slate. That's what this feels like this slate should be. So I can't wait for the shootouts. Let's get this swimming. Game 1. Actually, let's open up. I don't think there's much weather, but always got to check the weather. Yeah, it looks like nothing. All right, cool. Live in Atlanta? Okay. Many moons ago, when I was a child, I lived in Atlanta. Probably around 94, 95. You know Pojen? Nice. I imagine y'all have stuff in common if you're both from Colorado. Brewers taking on the Reds. Aaron Savali taking on Brady Singer. Savali an 18% K rate so far this season, $1.25 on the whip, almost a 5 expected ERA, an 11.1% barrel rate. Put him in Great American Ballpark. We talked about this slate on the surface feeling like, okay, weird offenses, weird pitching. But we certainly have some offensive parks, and this is one of the top parks to target in the league for offense, and we have at least seen some signs of life from the Milwaukee Brewers. One of the games in Philly turned into a slate-winning game up against Jesus Luzardo, where we saw we saw the Brewers score some football points, and against the Cincinnati Reds, this bullpen and Brady Singer, certainly not a crazy range of outcomes for them to kind of put up some points out there in Great American. And then inversely, Savali is maybe the worst pitcher of the two, although it's not by a landslide, but has attackable metrics himself. So Ellie De La Cruz, he stands out, obviously, trying to figure out who you put him with. Will Benson, I kind of do like him. Benson's somebody I like to target against pitchers that don't strike you out. That's not necessarily been the case for Savali. He has pretty extreme reverse splits when it comes to strikeouts, but digging to the beginning of last year, has obvious power problems to left-handed hitters. So don't mind a chip in a chair on a big swing from Benson. And then Gavin Lux has been just fine. We're really just attacking the ballpark here. And then if you get into this Brewers bullpen, it's certainly beatable as well. So I'm kind of just attacking this game. So we'll go Brewers 1 on the interest ranking. We'll go Reds 2. Ellie De La Cruz, by the way, was it yesterday he homered? It was kind of a lopsided game, but he got a homer in memoriam of his, I'm going to say memoriam, but the word on the street is yesterday he found out his sister passed away, and then he homered in that game. So for him to even play that game is kind of crazy. I don't know the situation, but if it came out, couple of these games, Ellie's on, grieve absence, it certainly would change the scope of the Reds lineup. So keep an eye out on that. But for the most part, I'm attacking offenses here. Savali's strikeout numbers to lefties is somewhat head scratching, but he also allows a pretty high line drive rate, and like I said, power to both sides of the plate. So I'm in on offense in this game. If I had to go to a pitcher, I really don't have a strong lean. It would probably be Savali, just because he can strike out lefties, and the Reds do strike out 1 and 4. But I would probably try to avoid having to pitch either pitcher at all costs. While we're here, we'll keep an eye on our pitcher projections. Did it before I went to bed last night, so we'll see if we have any out adjustments. Internet kind of small once you get in the right crowds. Yeah, there's a couple of y'all. Maybe I don't get to bounce around chats so much this season, but a couple years ago I would look at different DFS streams and see the chat. There's so many regulars, and yeah, there's a couple of y'all that are just, man, you guys make your rounds. Singer 16.5, Savali 15.5. So I have got, that's about what I had. And then run totals 4.6, dropped a little bit here. 4.7. 4.7. Savali's pitch count's been tight. Yeah, I only got him at 15 outs. 79, 73, 68. Yeah, no reason to really force the issue there, but even if it's a couple, he's gone up a couple pitches game to game. But yeah, even if he had 100 pitches in the tank, I'm not running to play Aaron Savali today. So that's how we list it out. We'll go Brewers, Reds offense, in a hitter's park. We'll move on. Angels and the Red Sox. Tyler, the Andersons got tickets to the game. Oh, they get tickets. Taking on Dick Fitz. 4.5 run total for the Angels. 5.3 for the Red Sox. Fenway, another attackable, targetable stadium to target from the Department of Redundancy Department. Tyler Anderson, just a sub 18% K rate overall this season, has allowed a 273 average to lefties, a 281 home run per 9 to lefties. Some people don't believe in reverse splits, but man, we got a 3-year rolling period of Anderson allowing homers to lefties. So if you if you liked Rafi Devers today, this could be a fun lefty on lefty crime opportunity for him to get over the right field of Fenway. And then Jarren Duran leading off, kind of like that. I like that as well. I saw a tweet come out today about the Padres possibly interested in Duran. The Red Sox do need a third baseman. So wonder how that trade would look. But generally speaking, it seems like another attack the park spot, right? Where both offenses have some holes in it, especially when it comes to strikeouts. But neither pitcher blow you away, and the park is the park. Looking at the Angel side, there's a lot of power in this lineup. Only Shanuel and Rengifo, a sub 200-esque. Maybe Joe Adele, but only Shanuel and Rengifo have like no power to speak of. And then you dip into Zach Neto, Makata, Taylor Ward, Soler, Mike Trout. It gets really, really ugly, really, really fast. So with a guy like Richard Fitz, sub 20% K rate, 4.1 expected ERA, he's been performing better than the advanced metrics say that he should. So some regression could be creeping up on him, especially him and his 10% barrel rate. And he has allowed established power to righties, and that is typically the Angels lineup. Power righties with a little bit of Ks, right? 1.42 home run per 9 to righties, a 47% fly ball rate, 34% hard contact rate. So once again, interested in the offenses before I consider pitching. I'm gonna go Angels first, Red Sox second. But also would remind you guys, this Red Sox team is in a better spot deeper into the game because of the Angels bullpen being one of the worst in all of baseball. So even without Alex Bregman, they might surprise us with some late inning heroics. Looking at the bullpen usage throughout the weekend, the Angels went to Brock Burke and Hunter Strickland yesterday, and the fact that they threw 30-plus pitches pretty much means they're not going to pitch today, so we can keep an eye on these other guys. Kenley Jansen probably only going to come in a tight game, so we kind of want to paint a picture on who's in the middle relief, and I think Reed Detmers makes the most sense here. And, you know, he's a contact lefty. And I guess you could see some Hector Neris and Robert Stevenson. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Looks like he could be injured. So I would almost be pointing at Reed Detmers as a guy that we should totally expect to see some usage here in Fenway. And he, much like Tyler Anderson, allows homers to lefties. 1.5 homer per nine to lefties, 1.68 homer per nine to righties. So looks good deeper. And giggity. And Rob Refsnyder, if you're going to give him Tyler Anderson and then potentially a shot at Reed Detmers, his 280 ISO stands out quite a bit, 977 OPS for a likely game that he sees two different lefties that have home run problems. So could be somebody to keep in your back pocket. Sebastian Chipotle, nice. Soderstrom, 2 bases. I'm with it. Saw Tony on the thumbnail and wanted to say I love you for that. Jesus. Oh, speaking of Otani, I didn't update the home run odds. Is he plus 150? Dude, the day we ever get Judge, Otani, Schwarber, and now Cal Rally's got to be on your radar at this point, right? We get those 4 homer in the same day. You're about to double up so MF hard. Plus 152, Jesus. So Otani, I have him at. I mean, it's kind of stupid that this is obviously fun with small sample size, but the park as well. But I have him as the top probability to homer at 449 fair odds, and he's 138 on Fanduel. 138 is absolutely friggin' ridiculous. Are you? If he's 138 to homer, does that mean he's like minus? Is he minus money for 2 bases? You know what I mean? Like, something seems so crazy about that number. I don't know, man. Minus 175. They take the fun out. So anyway, we're going to go Angels and Red Sox here. I'll list the Angels above the Red Sox just because they have more proven ISO. But if you can get past it and just kind of focus on matchups, there's a lot of fun in Anderson, likely Detmers, and, you know, this bullpen's been pretty rough. And I want to say Kenley Jansen was a Red Sox too, right? It might be a little revenge there. We'd actually just get a Red Sox lineup while I was blabbering. Duran, Devers, or Rob Refsnyder batting third. That's actually a really nice boost. Carlos Narvaez, Romy Gonzalez, Abraham Toro, Trevor Story, no Meyer. And Christian Campbell. Bad ninth. All right, lineup looks a little different. So no Bregman, no Meyer, who's a pretty big expected guy. But this 3, 4, 5, Narvaez, Romy Gonzalez, Abraham Toro, decent chunk of WRC plus to be had there. Decent chunk of OPS. So even though it's not your household Fenway or your Red Sox stack, it is certainly guys that mathematically grade out well. I understand. Gunn, Otani is baseball. Michael. Oh yeah, he's Michael Jordan of baseball. He's that good on defense that you would call him. Let's chill out with those comps, right? Reds move Lux to the 2-hole, or is he there? I guess they moved him based on the projected. I didn't see that lineup yet, but that's good. I like that. Let's see. Is that lineup at least playing? All right, we'll update. We'll update that in a second. Let's look at the next game: the Tigers and the White Sox. We got Jack Flaherty versus Jonathan Cannon. So Flaherty is going to represent a lot of ownership in this slate when you think about pitching. And then I had Tigers at 4.8 last night. They have moved to 5.2, and the White Sox moved to 3.5. So the game, I guess, picked up half a run. The Tigers are minus 230, and Flaherty is your guy, right? Almost a 30% K rate this season. We're gonna bolster him at number one interest of this game. He does have an 11.5% barrel rate allowed this season, but against the White Sox, we're not going to sweat that. I will say against the White Sox, this lineup is starting to evolve, shed some dead skin, and kind of grow into some new skin. If you think about I don't know, we're talking about snakes here. And although they don't hit for a great average, they don't hit for a ton of power, their strikeouts are a little bit more scrappy, and they're kind of moneyballing it, where they're also drawing a decent amount of walks, right? Almost a 10% aggregate walk rate on a 1-5 K rate. So they're still beatable. They still don't have a ton of power. You can still attack this park and attack this team. But they've been scrappier at times. We've also seen a little bit of surge from like Mike Tauchman as of late. And he's got a 126 WRC plus against righties since the beginning of last year. So a couple of guys that might be a nuisance. I'm not going to overthink that, though, based on the pitching on the slate. We got Jack Flaherty. We got Logan Webb. We got Joe Ryan, tougher park. We'll talk about Dustin May. There's some stuff going May's way, but that's it. So you're gonna get into Jack Flaherty, and it's not necessarily gonna become a game of can he score 35. It's gonna be, is he one of the top two scoring pitchers? And you blend those 3 or 4 names together, I think pretty often, yes. So we get to Flaherty. We get to him to being a sizable home or sizable favorite, not at home. He's up against Jonathan Cannon. Cannon, a 17% K rate on the season. Power allowed to both sides of the plate, but especially lefties. It's almost symmetrical, the average allowed to lefties. And then $1.25 plus since the beginning of last year as far as power allowed to lefties. The Tigers, as far as lefty power, I'm thinking Kerry Carpenter, I'm thinking Riley Green. And then generally speaking, this Tigers team has just been kind of a good team. They are... I think are they still the top team in win-loss in the AL? And it's been a team effort, I'll say. Some teams you look at 1 or 2 bats and like this guy's pulling the rear. I mean, Javi Baez out of the 9-hole has been so consistent for them this season. That if you get to a Tiger stack, even though some of these numbers look a little bit more green than others, you don't leave out. Don't leave out the 4 or 5 man stacks, right? But Green and Carpenter are certainly the two guys I lean on the most, that make the most sense against Cannon. And then the White Sox bullpen also attackable. So we're going to go Tiger stack. And then for White Sox, if I had to grab a White Sox bat, it's probably going to be Mike Tauchman. Like I said, he's shown us a little pop lately. Can draw some walks, and Jack Flaherty, a 2.22 home run per 9 to lefties, almost a 10% walk rate. So here we go. Tauchman's going to put up a little bit of fight when it comes to striking out. He's going to draw his walks and can swing for a little bit of pop here. So that'd be the guy I'd be the matchup to watch for is Flaherty versus Tauchman. Am I going to get to a White Sox stack? Probably, since it's a 6-game slate, running 150 lineups. But if I was running 20 or less lineups, the answer is no. And if Tauchman fell in a random lineup that didn't have Flaherty, cool. So I'll treat these rankings as like 20 to 50 lineups, in which I don't. But if you see me later with a White Sox stack in the field, don't cuss me out on Twitter when they score 12 runs and I'm in first place. We're stacking everybody, bro. We're scums. Ohtani's the Gretzky of baseball, the Tom Brady of baseball, the Babe Ruth of baseball. Jesus. What up, Edwin? Best in baseball, the best in the American League. And I gotta say that I'm not a rose-colored Yankee fan. I completely called what was going on. The American League sucks, bro. The American League is so disproportionately imbalanced, imbalanced. I don't know. That compared to the National League, that it hurts. And my boy Chronic, he actually came to one of my Twitch streams the other night. He was like, "Yo, Gun, can I be excited about the Tigers?" And I was like, "You could be excited about going to the playoffs. They might surprise people in the playoffs. I think it's real that they're the best team in the AL Central. And I think the reason it's real is because the American League sucks. And if you get to the World Series, you only have to face one National League team, and they're going to cannibalize each other in the playoffs. But the Dodgers, I mean, the NL West and the NL East, you just think about the teams that are in it, it's disgusting compared to the two other teams in the American League that you feel like might even have a puncher's chance in the playoffs. And I don't even know if I put the Tigers there yet, but you get to the dance and you only have to win 4 games. Hey, man. If the Tigers were in the National League, no shot, right? But those playoffs in the NL, they can get crazy. And I think what everyone should hope for, if you're not a Dodgers fan, is for some team to Cinderella beat the Dodgers. Because I'd rather face any other team at that point. Padres at the Giants next up on the docket. Best record in baseball, stats don't lie. Yeah. I mean, nothing new here. But look at the AL Central. Look at the AL East. There's like one other team above 500 in the AL East. I'll give the AL Central a little bit of credit, but the White Sox 20 games below 500 is kind of wild. And the Royals, Twins, Guardians, I guess they're scrapping. But the NL, you look at the NL West, it's kind of dumb. They already got 330 win teams, and I guess, or what the heck? 330 win teams, like I said. Giants, Padres, and Dodgers. And I think the D-backs are maybe better than their record indicates. But I guess when they also have a less than 10 win team in the division as well, you're going to get extra dubs, sure. But just think about the National League. The Mets, the Phillies. The Braves get Acuna back. Spencer Strider back. You know, they're better than this record, that's for sure. The Nationals that Soto trade is popping all of a sudden. The Cubs are really, really good. And a lot of these teams, their problem is going to be pitching. Maybe they fix it at the trade deadline. And then you look at the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, D-backs. I mean, I look at the American League and I think, okay, Yankees, Tigers, maybe the Mariners. I'm sleeping on the Mariners. They're pretty good offensively. I'm thinking 3 teams that I think could legitimately surprise people. When I look at the NL, and it's just, man, there's like 7 teams that if they won the World Series, I wouldn't blink twice. Mets, Phillies, Braves, Cubs, Dodgers, Padres, Giants, D-backs, 8 teams. Although Corbin Burns might be cooked. So D-backs bullpen also sucks. A lot of these teams have glaring holes. So I'm not saying as of today they can win, but a lot of teams have a great foundation to make some trade deadline moves and be a problem. Like the D-backs aren't going to go far with that bullpen. Maybe not that starting rotation now either. All right, Padres throwing Stephen Kolek taking on Logan Webb. They're out there in Oracle. 3.1 run total for the Padres. Actually, that's moved to 3.3. And the Giants are up to 4.4. So that game picked up some implied action. Pre-flop, even though it's not a fun matchup, Logan Webb, one of the best individual pitchers on the slate, 28% K rate on the season, 20% called strike rate on an 11.7% swinging strike rate, and the ground ball rate is immaculate. Essentially an aggregate 55% ground ball rate between lefties and righties. It's going to suppress power pretty doggone well. The pushback in this matchup is the Padres aren't a big strikeout team, just a 16.8% aggregate K rate since the beginning of last year against righties. So you're not tapping into a ton of strikeout potential. But if they swing more aggressive, and it's not like their low K rates are parlayed with high walk rates. There's a couple guys, right? Cronenworth and Tyler Wade. But the low K rates and low walk rates just means they're swinging and making contact, right? And I think that might not be a net negative for Logan Webb for at least Fanduel, right? It could go deeper into the game, get more innings, get into that quality start. And maybe he messes around, has like a Framber Valdez-esque start, or he's 85 pitch Maddox with 7 Ks. We'd take that all day long, all day strong. So I think we're betting on talent here. We're gonna go Webb, and then Kolek at 18.6% K rate. He also has a pretty high ground ball rate. Has lost more to lefties when it comes to power. Almost a 2 home run per 9 to lefties, a 12% walk rate, 288 average allowed on a 49% hard contact rate. The barrel rate's fine at 5%, so it might be a little bit of unluckiness. And you look at the Giants lefties for power: Young-Ho Lee, Mike Yastrzemski. Cool. So this could be should be a tougher matchup, and it should be a spot where we don't expect a lot of homers. One, it's Oracle Park, and two, you got 2 ground ball pitchers with a 55% collective ground ball rate that likely eats up 6 innings each way, maybe 5 innings. I don't know what Kolek's pitch count might look like. 93, 5-6 innings. So we might be betting on 3 innings of baseball as far as upside. So that would take the sting out of a lot of upside from this game pre-flop for me. So again, you'll see me in the streets probably with stacks of either team, but in 20 or less, 50 or less, there's not a whole lot of reason to go 5-man onslaught here unless you're banking on just a really bad game from one of these pitchers, an injury from one of these pitchers. Otherwise, the DNA, the pedigree, the batted ball data suggests that we shouldn't see a lot of homers in this park. So I'm going to go Logan Webb. I'm probably not going to get to Kolek. And listen, in bigger fields, you can get to Padres. Maybe a Padres substack in 20 or less makes more sense. Tatis, Machado, Merrill. But yeah, that's probably how we. What up, Heath? What up, King of all trades? Wildcard weekend going to be massive in terms of quality. Dude, the AL wildcard, oh my God. It's probably going to be like one of the AL East rejects. Maybe the Blue Jays, Red Sox, something like that. And maybe the Twins. I feel like the Twins have the pieces if they stay healthy to make the playoffs. And let me go look back at that. I'm trying to think. Heck, the Twins. I think the Mariners, Tigers, Yankees are locked for the playoffs, obviously. The Rays just feel like they suck, but here they are. Blue Jays, if they can wake those bats up, I can buy into a little postseason run. I think the Twins, if they could stay healthy, are fun. Royals just called up Caglione, but I still don't know if they have the pitching. I mean, Chris Bubich ain't no punk. And you really only need 3 pitchers to make the postseason and make a run, right? The Twins would be what? Joe Ryan, Ober, Pablo. Yeah. Meanwhile, the NL wild card could be legitimate World Series contender and dominate the AL. It's so stupid. Wish there was tracking data on sweepers because the right versus righties. Webb only throws fastball sweeper. Padres the best in baseball versus the slider. Let's see. I guess they don't. I mean, you could kind of look at, right? So this is Nando against the sweeper. Slugging 1.125. .985 expected slug. So there's regression coming, all right? Calm it down, guys. He's only supposed to slug 985. That's an interesting take, though. It definitely like stems more to the Substack for me with the Tatis interest. And Twins. Yeah, Twins might do it. All right, let's move on. Next game, Athletics and Twins. Joe Ryan taking on Luis Severino. Twins have a 5.4 run total. Athletics 4.3. Joe Ryan almost a 30% K rate, 12.3% swing and strike rate. He's really, really good. And the Athletics coming off a skid on this road trip where some games, man, they were just out there get bodied by guys like Jose Barrios. And Rock in aggregate almost 24% K rate. Now it is being stabilized by Avens and Denzel Clark, as we gave them just the league average K rate and walk rate until they can accumulate enough big league sample size. And Avens was somebody we talked about on when I did the show with Terry on Friday. This guy's kind of a beast in the minors, and we haven't really seen it in the majors yet. He's got one hit, one hit in the major league level, and about a strikeout per game, but it's not like 3 and 4 strikeouts per game. When you look at his minor league numbers this season in the minors, a 328 average, 858 OPS. He had 16 stolen bases. So I would take all of that. And maybe this is not the spot because it's Joe Ryan, but I think we got to remember going forward when we do get a good spot in this Sutter Health Park, in this minor league ballpark, those stats might turn around and play. And we've also seen Denzel Clark also have some web gems out there, robbing me. I think he robbed me of an Alejandro Kirk homer the other day, and I finished 6th place in a tournament and had Kirk, so I'm not salty. But he's also kind of putting together some hits as of late, a hit in each of his last 3 outings, including a double hit game on the 30th. So he might be somebody to keep an eye on as well, where our projections won't really have much for him at the big league level, because that transfer is pretty tough. But in the minors, 286 average, 855 OPS. Let me turn that down a little bit. 7 stolen bases, no homers though, not a big power guy in the minors as well. But some of these guys could fill out a stack at the bottom of the order. With that said, despite the park and the temperature, this is going to be the most hitter-friendly weather on the slate. You gotta at least like the thought of Joe Ryan being a top 2 performer on the slate from the pitching position. And then Severino, 18% K rate on the season, $1.25 on the whip. His home run per 9 has been down as far as results, but the line drive rate at 30.5% to lefties, 38.4% hard contact rate to lefties, is drawing a decent enough ground ball rate to troll you. Against righties, not so much. 25% line drive rate to righties, a 35% ground ball rate, and a 35% hard contact rate. Feels like this home run per 9 is a little on the lucky side. That's what it feels like. Especially like it looks better than last year, but last year we had higher ground ball rate, a lower hard contact rate, and a lower line drive rate. So it just kind of feels like this doesn't make sense. So I'm not going to overthink the results so far, and I'd be pretty invested in the thought of Twins coming through, not only against Severino, but against this Athletics bullpen that is atrocious. I mean, just downright abysmal. We might be able to guess who might be coming out for the Athletics today. Yesterday we saw Grant Holman, Justin Sterner, and Mitch Spence. Newcomb hasn't pitched in like 4 or 5 days. I don't know if he's a piggyback long reliever. Hogan Harris and Beto we have seen be a starter this season. But other than Mason Miller, I mean, there's just really not much that I'm scared of out of this bullpen. We're playing with 7+ xFIPs for 5.5. So it's a really, really targetable spot. So I'm going to go Ryan, Twins. Is there a world where Severino plays into a tournament-winning lineup? Man, I don't know. The guys with elevated K rates in the Twins lineup, 28% for Buxton, 32% for Wallner, 25% for Cody Clemens. Each one of those guys cost you a 240 plus ISO. It's like, yeah, they strike out a lot, but they can also take you yard, and they all have positive WRC pluses as well. So I'm leaning towards no. So I guess what I'm saying is in 20 or less, I'm not that enamored by Louis. But as we get deeper, sure, what the heck. Speaking of which, I guess we'll go back and check it after the next game. I need to double check all the projected outs. Yeah, PCL gets crazy. But Sutter Health, you know, this ain't Rogers Center, but it's also Joe Ryan, so I'm not running to that. Mets and the Dodgers are main event. Paul Blackburn still in the league. I knew that. Taking on Dustin May. We got a 4.3 run total for the Mets, a 5.4 run total for the Dodgers. So we talk about powerhouses in the National League. These are the two. Unfortunately, we don't think Paul Blackburn versus Dustin May. So with Blackburn, I don't know how we chop this up. All I would say is historically, we've only ever thought of him as a contact pitcher, and he's facing the Dodgers. So I can't really imagine there's going to be much interest in me getting to pitching Paul Blackburn. But in 29.1 innings in the minors this season, 31 Ks, a 109 whip. What? Huh? What? 19 Ks against righties in 16.2 innings. 1.25 ground out to air out ratio. So playing as a fly ball pitcher to lefties. 2 homers in 12 innings, 2 homers, 16 innings to righties. Lefties the other. He is got a little bit of a walk problem though. 6 walks in 12 innings to lefties, 7 walks, 16 innings to righties. Interesting. With all of that said, it's the Dodgers, and I don't think I want to research my way into thinking Blackburn is a play, so I won't. So we're gonna go Dodgers, and then May versus Mets is intriguing, and the reason for me is because Dustin May has been striking out lefties pretty consistent clip this season. 2.9 xFIP with a 28% K rate. Lindor, Nimmo, Soto, Beatty, Jared Young, McNeil. He might only get 3 righties. There's 3 righties in the projected. It's not like they're high K lefties. But the ground ball rate's elevated, and he could steal some strikeouts here and there. So on a slate when you're, after you get past Ryan and Flaherty and Webb, who's number 4? Is it Dustin May? Maybe. So I'm kind of torn between May and the Mets on the rank out here. I think I'm gonna go. And May's pitch count better between 88 and 97 pitches in his last 5 outings. We've seen him hit 6 innings 2 times in the last 5. I'm gonna go Dustin May Mets, but that's interchangeable. And that's how that shakes out. It's this sweeper doing the damage. 149 expected batting average, 177. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want. So I'm gonna go May over Mets in that rank out. And now I kind of want to go double check my out projections, so we know our pitching projections are tight as they can be. Tyler Anderson 15.5, and then we'll do we'll update some lineups. But that's it, man. That's your slate. It's kind of fun. It feels like offense is front loaded, pitching is back loaded, and lately it's been kind of inverse. Pre-flop. Flaherty 17.5, Cannon 17.5. So for Flaherty, I'm gonna give him 3 points towards a QS. Cannon is getting a lot of 17.5. Oh man, I don't know. Do we give him points towards a QS? Mets and Cubs. I mean, he went out there fighting, still got smoked. But 6 innings, 7.2 innings. So Athletics, Astros, at Kauffman, at Cincy. I feel like the strength of schedule was on his side. And they probably went out there too long against Boston. There's at least some length, but I think I'll stay away from... I'll give him 1.5 towards the QS. Why not? What else we got here? Kolick, 17.5. Logan Webb, 19. So I had him at 16.5. That'll move him a little bit. Webb, I'll give him 3 points towards the QS. And then Joe Ryan, 17.5. I'll put him at 18. Severino, 17.5. I'll keep that there. So for Ryan, I'll give him 3. Sevy, I'll give him 1. Blackburn and May, I don't think I ordered them nothing. So I feel like that's right. So let's go to our pitcher projections, resort. Not a ton of movement there. And then stack rating, Dodgers, Twins, Red Sox, Tigers, Mets, Brewers. Kind of figured the Brewers would be a little bit higher, but I get it. Let's go update the Reds lineup. Friedel, Gavin Lux, batting second. Ellie De La Cruz, Tyler Stevenson, Spencer Steer, Will Benson, Jose Trevino, former Yankee great, Jake Fraley, Garrett Hampson. We'll green light that. Angels lineup is out. Neto, Samuel Ward, batting third. Jorge Soler. Hey man, that young kid, Mike Trout, moving up to the 5 spot. That's pretty big. I hope he can handle that. Logan O'Hoppe, Joe Adele, Luis Rengifo, and former Phillies great Scott Kingery. That's how we shake that out. Tigers not out. White Sox is Chase Mydrith, Mike Tauchman, Miguel Vargas, Benintendi, Sosa, Palacios, Robert, Josh Rojas, Corey Lee. Green like that. And that's it. So now we are fully caught up, updated. Will Benson at the top of the bomb detector. A lot of Reds up here too. I got 3 Reds in the top 4. And it's funny because I guess it is because Savali just has no ground ball, right? That's small sample size, but even last year, like it's pulling from the beginning of last year. Decent fly ball, decent hard contact, barrel rates high. So hopefully the Reds can put up some runs. Let's go look at ownership, I guess, if we can. If you guys got anything, any questions, comments, concerns, throw them at me. We'll try to cover some stuff. But otherwise, it's pretty laid back Cadillac Jack Friday. Or Monday, Jesus. That's how laid back it is. Ownership. I'll tell you what, if this is true, I was looking at stack ownerships. The Reds came in the 4th lowest stack ownership. And 3 of the Reds are top 4 in the bomb detector. Plus the Brewers bullpen in Great American. That could get me in trouble. I mean, there's $6K for Ellie, sure. I don't know. It looks like Tigers are projected to be the highest owned stack. Then the Dodgers, sure. Then the Twins, sure. Red Sox, sure. Brewers, Mets, Angels, Giants, and then the Reds, man. Reds looking like where I would get crazy today in single entry. I like them more than 4th lowest ownership, that's for sure. Cool. Should be kind of fun. MLBgrind.com. I didn't plug it. If you guys want to be part of the research crew or the spreadsheet access, go to MLBgrind.com, click premium memberships, week pass, month pass, and I guess I didn't take this thing off the screen. It's $100 to get you locked in for the rest of the year. You'll get a link to the Discord, link to the spreadsheet. So if you guys want to sweat some stuff or you want to tag me, ask me something, you can do so there. Otherwise, I think we covered all of our bases here. Tomorrow, looking like a similar start time, but a lot more games. So hopefully we have a successful night tonight. There'll probably be a 3-game early slate and then the main slate. Yankees back at the house. Twitter.com/Gundecker. I appreciate your time. Hope you guys crush it tonight. Hey, hit that thumbs up on your way out. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.